Hey, what's going on, everybody? Stellar family, how you doing? This is your boy Sam Connor, and what a week it's been so far, and it's just Monday, man. So look, I'm here putting up this quick video here because I think it's just so important. If you haven't been aware of the Berkeley Accelerator panel that Justin Rice hosted and moderated, man, this is why I'm putting this out there. I want to make it so easy for you to understand and really comprehend what Stellar is doing. You know what? There's been so many new people coming. I can tell by the tweets, the followers, the new influencers, that are coming into the space. And SDF, man, shout out to Jordan. He has been having them everywhere. I mean, literally everywhere. Shout out to Jordan. You know, I have seen him everywhere. And it's like, as more and more people start to come into the space, you know, as much as they're learning so much, there's still some misconceptions of exactly what Stellar is and what it's capable of. And I got to give it to him. I think that this panel that they orchestrated here, whoever's behind it, good job to you. Hand claps on that one. It was a great panel because it illustrated very well what Stellar is about. I wanted to quote here. Berkeley, one of the representatives for Berkeley said this. She said that this panel illustrates to the students attending Berkeley the variety of use cases and unique value propositions of Stellar. That's right. Let me say it one more time. It illustrates to the students attending Berkeley the variety of use cases and unique value propositions of Stellar. And so just to recap here, the panel was called Ecosystem Panel, Plug into the World of Stellar Assets. And you know, it was really well done. It was from the Berkeley Blockchain Accelerator. And they hosted it, and it was moderated by Justin Rice, the VP of Ecosystems at the Stellar Development Foundation. And he had a great panel. You had Marcin with CoinQuest in the enterprise processor. You had Omed of RealtyBits, a full-featured marketplace app for digitizing private offerings. You had John Moss of Yehuda Wallet, a WhatsApp, that's right, WhatsApp-based wallet for sending intra-African payments. And then you had finally Kyle McCollum at Vibrant, a dollar savings app. And I just want to dive just really quickly into some of these here. Let's look at CoinQuest. And if you look at CoinQuest, you will see here that they are they provide digital currency checkouts that automatically go from Bitcoin or several other cryptocurrencies to your bank account or crypto wallet. And this is all done on Stellar. So this is one example of use case that you're going to see in this panel. And as you can see here, accept crypto and convert to fiat, no currency risk, no chargebacks, no credit risks, financial reporting, invoicing, taxation, analytics, everything all right there, and an API. You know, they're easily allow you to integrate into WooCommerce, WordPress. As you can see down here, Shopify. It's really, and once again, it's all using Stellar. So a lot of people don't know about it, but this is CoinQuest. Another one is RealtyBits. Now, RealtyBits, man, I'm a real estate guy, so you know I'm excited about this one. Invest in real assets, from real estate to energy to other alternative assets at your fingertips. They're fast, secure, and compliant, and best of all, there's no cost for investors. So, man, this is on Stellar. These are things that have been going on in the background. Buy or sell instantly. Private assets are traditionally expensive and illiquid. RealtyBits makes buying and selling properties or ownership in private companies possible with just a few clicks. And it can save up to 80% in cost and time. So, I mean, just check this out. It's really, really incredible. Flexible payments. I think this is really cool right here. There's 150 plus national, 16 digital currencies. 150 plus national and 16 digital currencies. They partner with top legal and financial institutions. And I mean, just look at who they're associated with here. You got Coinbase, Stellar, of course, Scrum Ventures, Wells Fargo, Innovation Endeavors, Entree Capital. I mean, this is not some run-of-the-mill company. This is the real deal. Let's check this out. What else we got here? I mentioned Uhuru Wallet, right? So you've got Uhuru Wallet. Send money, buy electricity, buy airtime, pay your cable bill, and a lot more. And I mean, just check this out. I mean, literally, it's right here in your WhatsApp. Say hi, verify email, go through the whole steps. You can fund the wallet. Look at this. You don't even need a smartphone. I mean, it's a fancy phone. I mean, you do everything right there within WhatsApp, which is a very low cost, efficient system. I mean, come on, guys. This is right in your WhatsApp. This is live. You can select your bank. List all banks will be displayed, for example. Enter one here. I mean, look at this. Go to your ATM. Do you want to buy via ATM? I mean, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Let me just one more time. It's ridiculous, guys. And you can see all their partners here. It's crazy. This is Uhuru Wallet. And then, of course, you got Vibrant. Shout out to Vibrant. This is the easiest way to protect yourself from devaluation. Anyone know or familiar with what's going on in Argentina? They've got a huge currency crisis, and so I mean, this actually helps the country right there by allowing people to effortlessly switch in and out. They can transfer back into pesos and shop at stores at ease. They don't have to worry about trying to transfer it anywhere. It's right there on their phone. So this is really a win-win situation. So you protect right here. You can save USDC digitally and more securely. There was a couple big USDC announcements this week. You had Tala. Last week. Tala was last week, and you had another major one this week as well. So it's just it just continues to expand the USDC on Stellar. It's incredible. So you can send it to family members, all right there within the wallet. It's just crazy. So like I said, you have Tala, you got Stably just recently today. So I mean, guys, listen, I want you guys to take a look at this video. It's going to be the entire panel. Take some time, let it sit in, forward it, retweet it, share it with your friends and family. I believe that after they watch this video of this complete panel, they will have a deeper understanding of what Stellar is all about.
I think this is probably a good time to get started. First off, I just wanted to say thank you, Justin, and all the teams from Stellar for being here today. We really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to come speak to us. This is a really great opportunity and a really great learning opportunity for all the students. So we appreciate you guys taking the time. And just wanted to say Blockchain at Berkeley is really glad to be able to host this panel with Stellar, and we really look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. So thank you. You got Justin, you can take it from there.
Thanks, Jalen. So hello, everyone, and welcome to today's panel, which is about plugging into the world of Stellar assets. I'm Justin Rice, VP of Ecosystem at the Stellar Development Foundation. Before we begin, I just want to thank Blockchain at Berkeley for hosting, and also to thank everyone who's here for being here. I also just quickly want to introduce our panelists. And so when I call on you, just please tell us who you are and what company you're from, basically your name and title. So here we go. Marcin.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Marcin. I'm co-founder at CoinQuest.
Great. Umed.
Hi guys, I'm Umed. I'm the co-founder at RealtyBits.
Great. John.
Hey guys, my name is John. I'm a co-founder of Uhuru from South Africa.
Perfect. And Kyle.
Hey everyone, I'm Kyle McCollum. I'm head of Vibrance on the Vibrant project at SDF.
Fantastic, thanks. And thank you all for being here. So just before we get started, the goal today is to show you out there in the audience how you can build apps that take advantage of the Stellar network and the world of assets that it offers. So to make that claim nice and concrete, we've invited these representatives from 4 different Stellar built apps, each of whom is going to give an overview of their project. So they'll talk through what they built, how it works, why they chose to build it on Stellar. And then when they're done, we'll have a discussion where we cover some of the fundamentals and open it up for audience questions. So you can submit your questions and we'll get to as many as we have time for. So to begin with, I just want to say sort of the key point here is that because Stellar is open access and it has all kinds of developers tooling, right, including easy to use APIs and SDKs in pretty much every modern programming language, you can start building on it today, no permission required. And because the assets, applications, and services built on Stellar can easily interoperate with one another, when you build on Stellar, you can take advantage of an entire ecosystem of projects to access real-world users via real-world currency endpoints all over the globe. So just a little context. What is Stellar? Well, at a high level, Stellar is a decentralized open network that connects the world's financial infrastructure. So it's a global public blockchain. It's built for interoperability and to further financial access and inclusion. And it does that by making money more fluid thanks to the speed and scale of Stellar. It also makes markets more open because when financial infrastructure is connected, you have greater geographical and affordable access to markets. And ultimately, it empowers people, right? Because it gives them real ownership of the value in their possession. So just real quick, here's how it works. We'll start with asset issuance. So Stellar allows anyone to create a redeemable, tradable representation of any asset in a few simple lines of code. Digital asset issuance, it's the backbone of the Stellar network. It's how Stellar connects the world's currencies. It's also what Stellar was built for. You can issue an asset that represents really anything, right? From corn bushels to gold to an hour of your time as a consultant, say. But assets are really particularly useful when they're tied to fiat currencies such as dollars or Argentinian pesos or euros. So these fiat-backed tokens, they're issued by regulated financial institutions, money service businesses, or fintech companies that we call anchors in the Stellar vernacular. So important term alert, anchors. Anchors connect existing financial systems with Stellar by serving as the on-off ramps for the network, right? They bridge Stellar to a local banking system, and they handle regulatory compliance by doing things like collecting Know Your Customer or KYC information so that users can make deposits and withdrawals. Essentially, right, a user obtains a Stellar network asset by depositing traditional currency with an anchor using traditional rails. So you make a deposit via ACH, for instance, you get a Stellar network in return. Users can then hold that asset in a Stellar wallet or app and use it to make payments or to trade it for other assets on the network. And we're going to see how that works today. So anchors, they maintain fiat reserves equivalent to the value of issued tokens. So users can redeem those tokens back to fiat at any time. That means that when people hold the tokens, they can treat them just like traditional money because they know that they're redeemable for traditional money in the end. So there are anchor services currently operating all over the world, and each of these provides a real-world access point to the Stellar network. And there are actually a lot more being built as we speak. So in the future, this map, picture it with anchors everywhere. Stellar powers each of these entities as they address prevalent needs in their regional markets. And together, these entities from all over the world, they make up an ecosystem that collectively creates equitable access to the global financial system. Now, you may be thinking, hang on, I'm not a regulated financial institution. Like, what can I do with Stellar? So the beauty of Stellar is that you don't actually have to issue an asset to build on it. You can, and some of the projects here today do, but you can also build an app that offers users access to the assets other organizations issue. So you can take advantage of a suite of APIs and use Stellar as a backend to allow users to store, trade, and transfer value. And you can even leverage existing and compliant access points to offer in-app connections to real-world currencies so your users can get on and off the network easily. Your app, in other words, can interoperate with anchor services. Now that's pretty powerful if you're a startup or you're a student or you're an indie developer with a great idea, right? You can get building today, you can ship a product, you can grow your user base, iterate, improve, and continue to grow your user base. All you need is a little elbow grease, ingenuity, and the ability to write some basic code. So there are all kinds of products and services that you can power with Stellar. And today we actually have a really good representation of different approaches. Some of these apps, they're more crypto focused. They target users who know, understand, and care about what's going on in the world of blockchain. Others conceal the complexity of blockchain entirely to offer users an experience that feels a lot more like a traditional payment or savings app. What I hope you see is that you can tailor your app to meet your users' needs, whatever they may be. So as you hear about each of these projects, I hope you pay attention to the choices they've made and realize you can do something similar, right? Find the best way to integrate Stellar to plug into the world's financial infrastructure. So at this point, we're going to start passing the mic around. Each project will tell you more about what they're up to. And again, when we're done, we'll have an open discussion and we'll take as many audience questions as we have time for. So first up is CoinQuest. Marcin, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Justin. Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for having me and thanks for tuning in. So my name is Marcin and I'm co-founder at CoinQuest, which is a Stellar-based suite of payment APIs with browser-based invoicing and payment management tools. We help online businesses to receive digital currency payments from several blockchains or any asset or stablecoin on the Stellar network and automatically swap them into a currency they want to have. So our customers integrate with our hosted payment pages, e-commerce plugins, or our REST-based payment APIs and SDKs. And we use Stellar to execute payments across currencies and blockchains. And this enables buyers to use their favorite cryptocurrency or stablecoin to make the payment, while sellers can settle into the currency they want to receive. This could be euro in their bank account or Bitcoin or Stellar Lumens in their self-custody wallets. Now, all the currencies listed on these screenshots are basically tethered tokens minted on Stellar. And as Justin already pointed out, these assets are issued, maintained, and secured by custodians called Stellar anchors. And these anchors are basically on and off ramps to the Stellar network that tokenize and detokenize anything of value. This can be fiat money or cryptocurrencies or stocks or anything else really. And the cool thing is that once something is tokenized onto Stellar, it can be easily swapped, traded on Stellar's decentralized exchange, or transferred within seconds at almost zero cost. Now, in this example, a customer paid an invoice in native Ether, and the merchant was credited in US dollars. You can see the Ethereum transaction ID on the bottom left and the US dollar amount on top in the charge details. And the flow was as follows. So the funds went from the customer's native Ethereum wallet to our anchor, who then captured the native Ethereum, tokenized it onto Stellar, and sent it to our platform wallet. Now, once we receive those tokens, we use an atomic swap, which is called a path payment in the Stellar universe, to convert the tokenized Ether into Circle's USDC, and the seller was ultimately credited in that currency. And in this example, it's the reverse. A merchant wants to withdraw $50 of his accrued sales and convert them into a real Argentine peso in his bank account. So again, this happens using an atomic swap on the Stellar decentralized exchange, followed by a transfer of the fiat tokens from us to our anchor in Argentina. The anchor then burns those tokens and transfers legal tender to the merchant's bank account. Yeah, and all this happens using standardized interfaces that are normalized across all the anchors in the Stellar ecosystem. And that's basically how we connect traditional payment rails with digital payments using Stellar. I guess there are many ways to use the Stellar network, but this is how we do it at CoinQuest. So we integrate with anchors, we use the Stellar DEX to convert assets, and then again, we use anchors to off-ramp assets once a conversion took place, for example. Yeah, and apart from all that, CoinQuest comes with developer tools, API and webhook logging, as well as a host of accounting and reporting features. There is much more to it, but this concludes my intro. And yeah, thanks for tuning in and looking forward to any questions later on. Go Bears.
Thanks, Marcin. That's great. Next up, I think, is Umed. Is that correct? Yes. Umed, you ready? Mic is yours.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. Hi, guys. We are RealtyBits. We turn real world assets into crypto units. And we do that because we want to enable people to have ownership in real estate, energy assets, any type of hard assets, real world assets, through ownership of the cryptographic units that have been issued by the sponsors of these assets, such as private equity managers or other owners of real property. We use the Stellar blockchain for that, because we've discovered that that's actually the most efficient protocol for us to use to attack this specific industry. It is a very large market. In the US, only the real asset market, energy, and natural resources and commercial real estate is a $62 trillion market, and it's 93% illiquid. And it has a lot of issues. It's mainly inaccessibility is the biggest issue that the industry is faced with. It's very expensive to raise capital to purchase these kinds of assets. It's very limited to the type of owners that typically buy commercial real estate buildings or natural, like a gold mine or a energy well or a copper mine. It's usually large institutional investors, and it has a very high failure rate. On average, 20% of transactions fail in the real world asset marketplace. And that's an equivalent of about $200 billion, because every year, last year, on average, there was $1 trillion in private transactions that happened in this market. And we solved the situation. We provide a solution by making these assets payments compatible. It's a little bit of a reverse psychology or reverse thinking here. Payments, there's payments all over the place. We take a different approach to it. We think that the real reason why these assets are illiquid or not so accessible to people is because they don't have the necessary payment rails. And we found that solution with what Stellar has to offer. So we've been building our platform for the last 3 years, and we just went live to make these transactions possible and to make real asset ownership possible, which results in wealth creation for a wider spread of people than just a select few typical institutional investors. We have developed the platform on the Stellar network, where the asset sponsors, the private equity managers, issue the tokens that are backed by the real world assets. And those assets could be wind energy, oil and gas, real estate. And we've created the rails where it's very easy and efficient and quick to exchange your cryptocurrency or US dollar or other fiat assets with this other real world ownership, real world. I keep saying asset a lot, but it's all about assets. So we kind of, the overall approach that we attack, and we've kind of compartmentalized it, is about creation of the offering, the raising of capital. It looks a little bit squishy. It's raise capital, and confirmation of ownership, and payment processing, which is the heart of everything. Because without payments, you really don't have ownership. There has to be some sort of recorded and verifiable exchange of value. And then management of the ownership, right? When you buy an investment into a property, a portion of a property, and when you make a commitment to purchase a piece of a private equity fund, then the fund manager has to also manage you for the life of the fund, which is on average about 7 years. But some properties could be owned for generations. There's one person in charge, typically the general partner, that has to manage all the limited partners, i.e. the investors. And we make it very easy for them to manage those investors as well. And this is also running on the Stellar blockchain. And then servicing the asset. By servicing the asset, what we mean is, when I make an investment, I buy a piece of a private equity fund or a piece of a commercial real estate building, I expect returns. So the general manager typically updates me, messages me, and tells me how the asset is doing, and or sends distributions, dividends, or preferred return, any kind of payback back to me. And on the Stellar network, we built this app where it makes it very easy for the asset manager to service the investors. Distributions are instant. When I provide my capital towards my participation in the offering, that's also instant. So efficiency and speed is what attract us the most, and is the reason why we built this on the Stellar network. So our main product description or offering is, we like to describe it as a transaction engine for private offerings. creation of the asset is, if you have all the documents ready for the fund or behind, the recourse-based documents behind the offering, we can get it up and going in less than 30 minutes. Sending the units once the asset is tokenized, it's pretty much instant. It's a few seconds. Processing the payments is very fast. It's also almost instantaneous. And transferring of ownership. When I make a $100,000 investment into a $10 million offering, my ownership gets confirmed instantly once I submit my payment, which is also instant. So the speed and the efficiency is something that's revolutionary in this market that we're attacking. We have we have two apps. One is the investor-facing application, and the other is the asset manager, the sponsor-facing application. Both of them are up and running. We've been processing investments already. It goes through the entire process of verifying the investor, onboarding the investor, and processing their payments and verifying their ownership in a particular asset that they own. The same thing with the asset managers. They can, it's a fully compatible suite with any regulatory requirements or other regulatory like tax and compliance requirements. Documents can be processed, payments can be processed, and we can process US dollars and about 49 cryptocurrencies to make investments possible into these kinds of private offerings. And we built all the rails for that already. We had to do both in conjunction with each other because this literally does not exist right now in the manner that we are providing the solution for it. So that's pretty much it. That was our what we do in a very brief description. There's probably 1% of what we do that's just had time to explain. Happy to answer any questions after everybody's done.
Fantastic. Thanks, Umed. Up next, we've got John from Uhuru Wallet. John, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Justin. Hi, everybody. My name is John. I represent Uhuru. I'm not seeing my slides here. I was expecting that it will be part of the, can you just help me? Thank you very much. I represent Uhuru from South Africa, and I'm really, really excited to share with you guys about Uhuru. Basically, Uhuru is a WhatsApp-based wallet that was specifically built to really solve the slowness of cross-border payments for unbanked and underbanked foreigners across the Southern Africa. We specifically chose to use WhatsApp because it's accessible to majority of the underbanked and unbanked foreigners. And this year, we actually picked up that a lot of foreigners in Southern African side of things, they don't actually have the best smartphones to download or install or even to buy them. So affordability is an issue. We have actually managed to build a solution that allows them to send money home, cross-border payments, do a cash withdrawal within the countries that they are currently in, buy airtime top-up, electricity, cable TV. Even at the moment, we're exploring ways to do shopping, all on WhatsApp, all blockchain enabled. So basically, the technology that we have built, really, of course, WhatsApp. So running away from the whole idea of compatibility with, entry phones, your typical entry smartphone. So in that case, no need to install multiple applications. As you're chatting with your friends and family, you can just switch to our WhatsApp bot and send, buy, receive money all on WhatsApp. And also we have enabled AI for eKYC process, which works really fantastic. So far, we haven't had any issues. We also have a very, very good liquidity management that allows people to exchange value in between. And also, of course, the most important is the Stellar blockchain, which has enabled your typical African in the village to be able to send money and receive money seamlessly without actually even knowing what a blockchain or what Stellar is. So far, I mean, we have processed, I mean, this was the stats that we have taken the end of March. We have processed more than 5 million worth of transactions. We have seen about 230,000 transactions processed via our asset on Stellar. I mean, this number has changed significantly. Now we're sitting at about 24,000 subscribers. And we're seeing 30% growth month on month. And really, I mean, our system is so capable, of course, Stellar enabled. It's capable to do like a transaction within 2 to 5 seconds and complete. And I mean, we can do as many as 1,000 plus transactions per second. Path payments enabled, access to multiple currency pairs, cryptocurrency compatible. As a matter of fact, well, we had actually launched a path payment between South Africa, Zim, and Nigeria. And this was really all because of your cryptocurrency capability that comes with the Stellar. So far, I mean, we have launched in South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Nigeria, and we're looking into expanding to other Southern African countries like Malawi, Lesotho, Namibia, Botswana, and mainly like most countries in South Africa or in Africa that are doing very well. It's generally Nigeria and South Africa. Most of the foreigners are centered around those two countries, but South Africa is the leading in terms of the number of foreigners. And I mean, the internet usage and the number of people that are currently having access to mobile phones in Africa is increasing significantly. And that's where we're looking to expand to multiple other countries. Yeah, basically, this is the team. That's Trust, who's currently our CEO. We were sort of working for the same company. That's myself. We have Reggie, and then we have Lawrence, who's our CTO. Yeah, thanks, guys. I hope to get more questions on the African side of things.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, John. And finally, we have Kyle from Vibrant. Kyle, floor is yours.
Thanks, Justin. Hey, everyone. I'm Kyle, and I work at SDF alongside Justin and Anka. And this project that we're working on is called Vibrant, and it's a USDC app for Argentines. It's a way for people to protect themselves from inflation. It's built on top of Stellar, and our goals as this product incubated by SDF are to grow usage of the network, to actually use the network and use the ecosystem standards and make improvements to it to make it easier for other folks to build on top of the network. And the last is to show off, a use case of how you can actually build a consumer fintech app on top of the network. The way I like to think about product opportunities on top of Stellar, this is an oversimplification. And you can kind of put these other teams here on this call through this lens as well. You got really two categories of assets. You got on and off ramp assets and desirable assets. So on and off ramp assets might be the Argentinian peso or the Nigerian naira. They're ways for people to load value into and out of the network. It's what an anchor is, what Justin said before. And then you have assets that people are maybe trying to get to for some financial goals. These are things like USDC, the dollar stablecoin, or Tesla stock. And you kind of see two different use cases here playing out. One is going from one and on-off ramp asset to the other, so cross-border payment. And the other is moving into a desirable asset to store value there, all through the DEX, the decentralized exchange on top of Stellar. What Vibrant's focused on is ARST, is this on and off ramp asset, and USDC is this desirable asset. So helping our users store their value in a stable asset like USDC. The reason why we narrowed on this problem and this solution is because there's a lot of inflation in Argentina. And people in Argentina are very resourceful about how to go about protecting themselves from that inflation. Fun fact, fascinating fact, wow, that blows my mind. 1/15 of all US cash in circulation is in Argentina. And this is because people use USD cash, physical cash, as a way to protect themselves from inflation. The digital alternative that we're proposing here is one that helps people avoid monthly limits. There are limits if you do save in a dollar-denominated bank account in Argentina. And crypto allows you to not face those limits. And it also allows you to put your money to use, to make your money productive. Rather than being stagnant underneath your mattress, you can start to earn interest on it. You can deploy in other ways to grow it. And that's what Vibrant is. And Vibrant is a way for you to load value into an app, a mobile app, and save that value in USDC, and then pull it out. So the way that we do that is via a lot of different Stellar-based ecosystem standards. We like to abstract away a lot of the confusion about crypto. So whenever you create an account, we pre-fund your account for you via a lot of some magical, cool, usable new things that are available within Stellar. So you don't have to have users go and buy lumens and then load their account up. They can just go ahead and get started. We use ecosystem standards APIs that allow our users to get verified via KYC with our on and off ramp partner called StableX in Argentina, as well as another set of APIs that allow users to create deposits, deposit that money with StableX. StableX then issues that user ARST, tokenized version of the Argentinian peso, to that user on their Vibrant account on the Stellar network. And then the user uses the DEX, the decentralized exchange on top of Stellar, to move into USDC. They can do the opposite direction as well whenever they have a bill to pay to realize the protection from inflation that they hopefully have experienced through saving their value in USDC. So why Stellar? It's very fast. It could be free for your users via some great abstractions that Stellar provides. And it's really focused. It's just this very clear asset network for exchanging between assets. And like Justin said, there's a lot of on and off ramps that are already available in the ecosystem that you can plug into. So Vibrant, once we figure out the product in Argentina, we could expand into many other countries because of these ecosystem standards and because of these on and off ramps that are available out there in Stellar. And the last is we could potentially expand into other assets and plug and play with what's available in the ecosystem of desirable assets on top of Stellar. That's Vibrant. That's it. Justin.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. I think at this point we can shut down the slides for a minute and just kind of move on to discussion. And there's going to be different topics. There are a couple different topics that we sort of shared in advance, and I think they're relevant. So I would like to go over them, even though pretty much everyone touched on these topics in their presentation, right? But the first one, and maybe I'll work backwards, right? But the first one is basically about interoperability. So as Kaya was just saying, there are these sort of on-off ramp assets and then desirable assets, and you can build an app that gives a user's access to both. And so I guess what I would love to know, and we can start with you, Kyle, is how does your app do that? How does it interoperate with these different kinds of assets to give a user the ability to access the Stellar network and then to take advantage of its sort of ability to transmute assets?
Yeah, sure. So we allow two specific assets on the app. One is USDC, and the other is ARST. And in order for users to really get access to ARST, we really have to plug into what are called SEPs, Stellar Ecosystem Proposals. And these are our standards for how apps like Vibrant and on-off ramp anchors like StableX can interoperate. And so StableX has built an API that's called a KYC API that Vibrant then integrates and allows users to then make those deposits and actually transfer and convert their Argentinian peso into tokenized ARST. And then we, through the magic of market making on top of the Stellar DEX, users are able to move into easily back and forth between ARS-T and that USDC asset. So that's how users plug into the assets that are already available on top of the network. If we didn't have that already available, we would have to go off and create some sort of whole new business relationship with some on and off ramp provider in Argentina. Would have been a lot of work. And then, or for us to actually like custody users' US dollars in a bank account would require all these licensings and regulatory compliance issues and a lot of lawyer fees. And so by not having to do that and being able to plug into USDC, we save ourselves a ton of time, a ton of legal fees, and we're able to just get going and help our users get to USDC quickly.
Awesome. Same question for you, John. I mean, I know that Uhuru is built on WhatsApp. I'm interested in sort of the integrations that are required for it to interoperate and to allow these cross-border payments. John.
Yes. So basically, I mean, in a similar way that Kyle described, we do more or less the same. But in South Africa, the way we work is because our customers are not banked. Basically, some of them are underbanked. What they do is they go to the ATMs to deposit money to fund their wallet. And what we do is we have a crediting system that runs on the back of that to credit one-for-one what you call local currency with our sort of the stable coin. And then that's basically how the money gets in. And I think, yeah, we just, in terms of the money movement between, say, for instance, South Africa to Nigeria, we really just follow your typical SEP24, which is just integration between us and our Nigerian partners like Corey, for instance, before they got stopped. But yeah, but basically we follow more or less the same kind of setup. Yeah.
And can you just tell me what SEP24 is that you just referenced?
So basically, as far as I can explain, really is the standard that you guys have described to sort of like, just to confess that I'm more of a finance guy, but as far as I know, it is like the standard that we need to follow in order to communicate with other assets within the Stellar network. You know?
Cool, perfect. Thank you. Umed, it's similar question for you. RealtyBits interoperates with other assets on Stellar. I also know that you have a specific kinds of assets that require user authorization to hold. So I guess I would love to hear a bit about interoperability, and then also controlling user asset access to assets, and how you do this.
So we issue, to simplify the whole thing, we issue security tokens, because these are restricted assets. Real estate, private equity, any kind of private equity investment is a restricted security investment. And there's different types of restricted securities that could be publicly solicited, that are only allowed to be privately solicited. In order to make the ownership or the subscription or the payments for these assets enabled or efficient, we had to build this entire stack that had to become interoperable with the traditional banking system. So we have our own payment rails that allows for very large sums, very high value transactions, deposits and withdrawals on top of the US based banking systems. And obviously both the asset and the deposit of the fiat currency and cryptos happens, and they all have to be anchored on Stellar. That's how we create interoperability, by bringing everybody to the same level playing field, which is the Stellar blockchain. And from there, they can then interact with each other. So for us, in terms of interoperability, for us, it's actually, it's like 4-dimensional chess. It's connecting to the traditional banking rails, connecting to a crypto liquidator, which we're connected with the largest crypto exchanges in the US, and connecting enabling the connections to the investors and these different ancillary service providers for the asset managers, the reputable, pre-vetted and pre-checked private equity managers that launch their funds in under 30 minutes. A traditional private equity fund takes at least 3 months to launch, and they go through another almost 6 to 12 months of inviting their investors, processing their subscriptions, running a capital call, confirming their allocations, and then investing the proceeds, and then servicing the investors, updates, all that stuff. We've really combined all of that into one application. We don't think that, I was amazed that that hasn't been done yet. But for us, there's nothing to do with blockchain. We've done it in order to make it compatible, to be integrated with the blockchain, to be interoperable with the Stellar Ledger. So for us, that's interoperability. For us, it has a different meaning. It means we have to make all these different value propositions or use cases enabled to be compatible, to be sort of on the same protocol level. Then this thing can happen, right? It's not payments is just one piece of it, but payments arguably is the most important part of it, because that's where the exchange happens. That's where you pay and you get ownership. So that's what interoperability means for us.
Great. And while I have you, there's a question in the chat for you, which is from Jocelyn, and it says, I'm curious as to whether RealtyBits has traction with any real estate portfolios today, or where that onboarding stands. So
Yes, we are just closing. So we went live, we launched this 3 months ago. We had tremendous success. We have almost $1 billion in the pipeline for real estate private asset managers that want to use the platform. We're just starting to onboard them. We do have offerings that have already closed and processed. One of my favorite ones that we just closed or is closing right now is in Portland. We tokenized a 108-unit micro apartment buildings in Portland, Oregon, that is now being invested by different kinds of investors from all over the United States, and they are buying 5%, 10% ownership. This is an example of an offering that cannot be publicly solicited. It has to be invite only, but the app validates against that. So it's a private equity manager that has a great reputation in real estate investing, was a senior partner at McKinsey, that launched the fund and raised the capital, and is closing on the building on the 15th of May. We do have a fund, a distressed oil and gas fund, that is going to go live next week, that is raising $100 million. That's only targeting accredited investors, but targeting across the board in the United States. And by the way, the definition of accredited investors was a bit more refined and relaxed by the SEC not so recently. And it's now, if you have an MBA, you're technically an accredited investor. So for those MBAs here, you could take a look at this. We are going to open it up to public solicitation pretty soon here. But it's we do have assets that have been already launched and have been processed. Obviously, we took a very careful approach because this is it's people's money. We want to make sure that all the bugs are worked out and everything is according to expectations, and has been working great so far.
Yeah, and I would be remiss if I didn't say all 4 of these projects here are live projects. These are in production. They are doing the things that they have set out to do. And so it's an interesting example of 4 applications that have managed to come together to build on Stellar and to start to actually attract real users and to do the things that they've set out to do. And I mean, that's part of why it's such an amazing group, is because this isn't just potential, this is potential realized, right? These are real world applications serving real world users, which is pretty amazing. Marcin, same question for you. Basically, I would love to know what interoperability means in CoinQuest's world and how you achieve it.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Justin. Basically, one use case that we set out to solve is to help online merchants who are interested, or online businesses who are interested in processing payments, receiving payments in these new digital currencies. You have Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so on. So we're set out to help them to receive payments through these new channels, but at the same time stay compliant, right? So the interoperability comes in where we capture funds from all these different blockchains, convert them, and pay them out in a different type of form or shape, right? So maybe your business cannot have Bitcoin on your balance sheets. You cannot have Ethereum on your balance sheet because maybe your regulations don't allow for that. So this is where we come in and basically bridge this gap between new digital currencies and traditional currencies. So by using our platform, you can now tap into these new digital currencies that are emerging and are getting traction and are becoming more popular, and capture payments through these type of rails, and be at the same time compliant by settling into something that you have on your balance sheets, that you can have on your balance sheets, and that is basically compatible with your existing accounting systems, that your accountant understands, and that your taxman also understands. So in that way, I guess we help merchants to embrace these new currencies, but at the same way, stay compliant with where they are. And interoperability for us is basically what Stellar embodies in a way, right? Because how do we connect to these different blockchains? So there's Bitcoin, Ethereum, you have Litecoin, there's all these different types of blockchains. And the beautiful thing about Stellar is that it allows us to interact and be interoperable with all these different ecosystems and different blockchains by using normalized rails, these SEPs that we've been talking about, and by connecting to anchors who have this infrastructure in place to communicate with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and there are other anchors who communicate with traditional payment systems like Euro, US dollars, Argentinian peso, and so on. I think that's really where Stellar really excels, because you really just need to learn how to connect to the SEPs, and you get access to all these different ecosystems, blockchains, financial systems, and that's really where I think Stellar makes us interoperable.
Great, thank you. So there have been a couple of questions about smart contracting capabilities in the chat, and just real quick, is like anyone on this panel messing around with any kind of smart contracting capabilities? My guess is no, but if someone is, maybe we can answer those questions. If not, I'll just, okay, cool. Yeah, I just to answer the questions in the chat, there, you know, Stellar is really designed to do these things that we're talking about here, right? It's payment rails, it's easy to plug into. It makes it so that you can settle in all these different currencies and connect to all these different chains. It wasn't designed with full smart contracting capability inherent to the protocol itself. There are like experiments to see how we can bring that kind of capability and plug it into Stellar. But at the moment, most of the projects that are building on Stellar are really focused on using this blockchain for its sort of intended or for what it's designed for, which is like really making asset issuance and the conversion and payment and holding of assets super, super easy. And so, you know, just to answer sort of the question that keeps coming up, that the smart contracting capabilities are an experiment. I definitely urge you to get out there and tinker with them and even join the discussion about that sort of evolving experiment. But today, most of the tooling is set up to enable people to build these kinds of apps that take advantage of the fundamental design of the protocol. Okay. So at this point, I kind of want to work backwards again. So I'll start with you, Marcin, and work back to Kyle. And kind of what I want to know is, you know, we're here at blockchain at Berkeley, and I'd love to any thoughts that you have about to sort of give to students or new developers or startups, people who are just getting started, like what would your advice be for them right now? If they're contemplating building something, they're contemplating using Stellar as their Rails, do you have any advice for them? Starting with you, Marcin.
Yeah, first of all, using Stellar is easy. It's not any different In its simplest form, it's not any different than using like a REST API. So the Stellar Development Foundation, it offers a public, it's called a Horizon endpoint, which is basically an access gateway to Stellar. So you don't need to learn about nodes, validators, anything like that, complicated things. It all comes out of the box, and it's pretty well documented on the Stellar website. So there's a very good API documentation, and that's really all you need. So there's no need for you to set up a validator or things like that. You can do those things if you want to get more advanced, but to get started, it's absolutely not necessary. So there's a public API that you can just fire at and start building. Second of all, Stellar is great because it gives you access to not only a closed ecosystem that lives on the Stellar network, but it integrates with all these different ecosystems outside of Stellar, right? So we've been talking a lot about these fiat currencies that you have on the one hand side, and then you have cryptocurrencies and blockchains, and Stellar is kind of connects all of them. As soon as new technologies emerge, or maybe new assets emerge, maybe a new cryptocurrency comes along that becomes the dominant cryptocurrency that we're all going to use. That doesn't stop Stellar. It will simply be anchored onto Stellar. So in that way, Stellar is not only easy to use, but it's also future-proof because you can just adopt and absorb new technologies onto the network. So those are two main things I would like to tell people. Lastly, and last but not least, the team behind Stellar is pretty great. So in our experience, we've been working on Stellar for almost 2 years now. Across the teams, everyone has been extremely helpful and very supportive, and no question was left unanswered. So it's just a great team behind Stellar. It's not just the technology that is great, but also the humans that you end up working with are pretty first class. So I guess I'll leave it at that. Those are my 3 things that I would like to tell people.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Umed, same question for you. Advice for our audience.
Yeah, but I wanna touch on Martin's last point. We went through Y Combinator in 2018. We had a lot of different options to the choice of blockchain, but we are really to this day amazed by the quality of people behind Stellar. Jed, Daniel, Chem, you, Justin, Boris, everybody, Lisa, everybody that we interact with, just amazing people, amazing human beings, as Martin was saying. And we want to, this is not set, it matters. It matters who we deal with. It matters who the other partners are on the other side, their personalities and just their, just their worldviews. It's a real pleasure to work with everybody there. For us, in terms of advice, I could give advice all day long, but the high level stuff, if you're starting something, the key thing is just to start it. You're not going to understand something new right away. You're only going to understand it by just doing stuff. In the beginning, it's going to be confusing. You're going to be frustrated. It's not going to get you the results that you want. A few of us might get lucky, but that's just don't bank on that. But I think you will discover amazing new pathways, and Stellar actually, the protocol, it is pretty simple to use. Somebody asked a question about smart contracts. At least in our use case, we don't need the smart contract solution. It's not necessary. The Stellar protocol gave us, it really goes to the philosophy of money, how exchange of value happens. You don't actually need money to exchange. You could create something of value that is not money and exchange it with you exchange your time with somebody else's time. And if you take that kind of view, just a real open book kind of approach to it, you're gonna end up, there's no end to what you could end up doing there. And the Stellar protocol gives you these raw materials to just go wide. It's not restricted in terms of what you can do with it. It is restricted in terms of what things that could go wrong. So by creating this rigid yet flexible solution, I think it opens up a lot of potential for people. But the biggest advice, again, just start doing it. There's nothing more valuable than just start building. That's going to be your core advantage in anything you do.
That's great advice. Well said. John, how about you? Advice for our audience?
I just want to echo the same sentiment around the team, really. The guys have been very supportive, Lisa, Cam, and the other guys we've been interacting with. I think, look, we from Uhuru side, we've been on the cryptocurrency for some time, I think from 2011 or so, and we've been exploring a few other projects on blockchain. And I mean, we really love what we do, which is using technology to solve finance problems for our communities. So advice, I mean, from my side really is build solutions that helps a lot of people, right? That's how you make the world a better place. And also really, if you love the stuff that you do, like in our case, we love finance, we love technology, we love blockchain, we somehow really spend a lot of time working on improving our product and looking at other areas that we can touch, looking at the lives we are changing in our communities. And I think that's my advice to anyone that wants to get into any startup, and especially if you are really into the new cutting edge technology. Love what you do, love the people that you wish to serve. Yeah, and I mean, in terms of the choice of, the blockchain we chose to go with, which is Stellar in this case, is it fit right into the needs of our target market, the unbanked and underbanked. I mean, first is very fast, cheap. The anchor model just works fantastic, for the cross-border payments that we are doing. And yeah, that's thanks.
Fantastic. I love the idea of love what you do, love whom you serve. Like it's great. Kyle, finally to you, advice for our audience.
Yeah. Some have already said to just go start building, go start playing. I think it's hard to go play in the financial world because of all the regulations, but because Stellar's open and there's all these assets already there, go play, tinker, experiment, you'll learn. And then the second is, I don't think it needs to be that complicated in terms of the bigger problem that you go after and the solution that you provide. Marcin with enterprise payments, Umed with reducing the friction around real estate access and investment, John with cross-border payments, Vibrant with saving in dollars. It's not complicated like smart contracting stuff. It's just reducing friction and providing better access to things. And then I think the last is as you get into that, you'll find the problems that we're all facing as we try to go build. And there could be actually good opportunities there. Talk to us on the panel or other people building on top of Stellar, and maybe go try to solve some of our problems around non-custodial account recovery or interoperability between anchors and wallets. There's so many opportunities to go after here.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting here. 4 different, very different products that have different serve different users. They've each found a way to do it and to sort of work together. And by coming together, they sort of build this ecosystem that you out there listening can also become a part of. And as Kyle pointed out, and as everyone pointed out, it's a pretty friendly group of people building on Stellar. It's very accessible. I think that if you're watching today and you want to get started, check out stellar.org, check out the developer documentation. Join any of the channels. You'll find people that are happy to help. You'll find people who will help you think, will help you solve problems. And it's a pretty special community of developers and builders and business people who are all working together on this same sort of platform that connects the entire world. I'll also say, like, if you're just getting started, one cool way to sort of start to learn Stellar is by playing around with something that we just launched the 3rd round of called Stellar Quest. You can just go to quest.stellar.org. It gives you a chance to actually do some code challenges, to actually learn how the technology works, and to win NFT badges and also lumens as you do. It's super fun and people are pretty engaged doing it. And so with that, I hope that by watching this today, you see that there's this possibility here and you feel empowered and inspired to sort of pick up your own computer and start building yourself. I mean, if there's one common theme here, it was that you should start building now and you should try to solve problems that you understand and that you care about. And I think given, if you do those things, you will succeed. There is the support, and there's sort of all of the whole world of people who are building on Stellar who are here to help. And we really hope to see you in these community channels or building on Stellar. And at any point, please feel free to reach out to me directly or to join any of the Stellar channels. Directly, I'm just Justin at stellar.org. And that's it. Thanks again to Blockchain at Berkeley for having us. Thanks to Jalen for putting it all together. Thanks to Marchen, Umed, John, and Kaya. And thanks to everyone for watching. We really, really appreciate you being here. This was fantastic. Hope you have a great rest of the day.
I just wanted to add real quick, thank you, Justin, and all the panelists for coming out. I know from my perspective, I think I learned a lot about the Stellar ecosystem, so we really appreciate it here at Blockchain at Berkeley. And I wanted to mention the session today was being recorded, and it'll be available on the Accelerator YouTube soon. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just wanted to echo our thanks from Berkeley for the support from the Stellar Development Foundation and each of the founders who joined us today. Really fantastic to hear, you know, your stories and what you're building on Stellar, because I think it illustrates to our student the variety of use cases and the unique value proposition of Stellar. So really excellent panel, and thank you to all of us, to all of you for joining today. We appreciate it so much.